Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please leave us a note on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe first, then please leave us a note on Apple Podcasts telling us about how great the show is. I don't know why I say us, it's just me. Will robots take my job? That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. Because people have that question, right? Especially nowadays. People think that for some reason that AI is like a special new kind of thing, right? Because we've had the industrial revolution, we've had the information revolution, we've had all these different revolutions, right? And every time there's a revolution, a lot of jobs disappear. That's 100% true. Jobs disappear. But every time we have a revolution, new jobs just form out of the ether. Brand new jobs that didn't exist before. Web developer. If you go back into 1975 and say, hey, I'm a web developer, people are like, what? Do you deal with spiders? Every time there's been some kind of revolution that eliminates jobs, there's been another one that creates jobs. The same revolution creates billions of new jobs. But for some reason, I don't know why, for some reason, nowadays, the clamor is that for some reason with AI, that's going to be different. AI is going to take away so many jobs that we're not going to need humans anymore at all. In fact, we should start thinking about UBI, and we should start thinking about what are we going to do with all these excess humans? Excess humans. There's no such term. But I digress. So, some very intelligent person, I'm not sure who did it, created a website called willrobotstakemyjob.com. willrobotstakemyjob.com. I put in a link in the show notes to this site, willrobotstakemyjob.com, and what you do is you basically go in and you put in your job title. So your project manager, product manager, essential worker, crafter, whatever, you put it in there, and it will tell you, it gives you a percentage. It's like, what are the chances that your job will be automated away? And one of the things that you may find interesting is that, and this is what I've said before, is that more than likely, if you have a white-collar job right now, and this is the interesting part about this, is that if you think about white-collar jobs right now, one of the things about white-collar jobs that's very interesting is that sometimes the brunt of a white-collar job actually is just moving information from one form to another. Very inefficiently. Maybe the human does some filtering, maybe they does some decision-making, whatever. But it's usually taking information from one form and moving it to another form. Now, if you ask me, taking information in one form and moving it to another form seems pretty automatable, right? It seems that you could be able to take a bunch of rules and slap them together and say, hey, Calabucas, you don't have a job anymore because we've created an interface between these two things that you were doing, so we don't need you any longer. White-collar jobs are under the gun. In fact, if you go to this website, willrobotstakemyjob.com, and you put in a white-collar job, say an accountant or a project manager or whatever, there's probably a 15 to 20% possibility that your job will be gone. But if you put something in like an artisan or a crafter or a baker, then it goes to almost zero. It goes to 2% or something like that. White-collar jobs will disappear. And I actually said this. I did a blog post a million years ago talking about how blue-collar jobs that human beings can do right now really well, are the ones that are going to be suddenly in high demand. Suddenly, you'll be paying $250,000 for a bricklayer, but an accountant probably can't get work. They're probably going to be sitting on the corner looking for money. Will robots take my job? Well, I hate to break it to you, but AI ain't that good. There's so much misinformation and so much erroneous information about where we are with AI right now. And it's the same kind of stuff that's going on with all sorts of things in the news media. The news media all they care about is panicking people. All they care about is freaking people out. All they want you to do is to be sitting in your home shivering with fear because everything is horrible. Because the more that you're shivering in fear that everything is horrible, the more your eyes will be glued to the tiny little screen feeding you BS all day long. Will robots take my job.com? No, they won't. Go to that website, enter your position, and you'll realize that the percentage, the possibility that robots are going to take your job is almost zero. And it's even being optimistic about what robots can do. So what I say to you is that don't worry about it so much. AI is not going to take your job anytime soon. And not only that, there's billions of jobs, millions of jobs out there that are waiting to be filled right now. So get out there and don't worry about it so much. That's it for me for today. See you next time. And until then, don't forget to think future.